Make sure we get this. All righty. So we are going to be recording the session today. If you do not want to be on camera, you are welcome to turn your cameras off. Except for my panelists, I need you to have your cameras on. Good morning, everyone. My name is Amanda Costura. I am the founder and president of Carve Your Own Path. We are a nonprofit here in Copley, Ohio, focusing on holistic mental wellness and prevention services. We are super excited. So since February, we have been putting on a series of expert wellness panels. February, we kicked off with financial wellness. And then in April, we did environmental wellness. And this month in May, we have social wellness. So you all might be wondering where this is coming from if you don't engage with us much or follow us. So I'm going to go ahead and share real quickly an image for you so you can kind of have an understanding of what we are looking at. All right, can everyone see my screen here with the environmental or with the 8 dimensions of wellness? Good, perfect. So this is the 8 dimensions of wellness from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration. And we use this as a guide for our assessment, our interventions, our treatment, our community education services. So we are doing a different panel on each dimension of wellness to help the community better have access to information and resources that society typically doesn't teach us, right? So super excited to touch on social wellness today. We have 3 experts that are going to share their expertise with us in this area. So without further ado, I am going to go ahead and introduce our first panelist here. We have Michelle, is it Emtre? Hollis?
Emtre, like a service.
Got it. I should have asked that beforehand. So sorry. We have Michelle here. She is a TEDx speaker, a motivational singer, and founder of High Five to the Vibe movement. As a revenue strategist, Michelle is here to embolden community leaders to confidently and consistently create more connections, conversations, contracts, and cash for your business. Today, Michelle is going to be speaking on social wellness, career success, and a bright future is in your hands. So I'm going to hand it over to Michelle for about 15 minutes or so. It's okay if you go a little over, Michelle, 15, 20 minutes, and then we will move on to our next guest. And at the end, we'll have some Q&A. Go ahead, Michelle.
Okay, awesome. Let me make sure you guys can hear me. Can you hear me okay? Okay, fantastic. Okay, so this conversation is really important to me. I love the circles that you just showed. Can you show those again?
Yep, give me
Okay.
1 second.
Okay, awesome. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Okay, I love this whole conversation and just the way that you have mapped this out in terms of 8 dimensions of wellness, because I like to call it, I actually call it a holy shift. You know, you get to holy shift in your life, you know what I mean? And that's WHOLLY, holy shift, because being well really does require it really does require a holy shift. That's something that I've definitely learned. And be connected in with other people, be connected into your purpose, being connected into your higher power, uh, uh, exercising your intellectualness, your intelligence, being physically well is important. Thank you so much. Making sure that your environment, and this is, obviously, our environment, we've got our whole world and our earth, and we're all concerned about that. But what's your bedroom look like? You know what I mean? These are all things, financial, being solid financially, occupationally, making sure you're being you're putting your service into something that's meaningful to you, and then emotionally making sure that you got that emotional regulation. That all comes together, and that all has everything to do with social, because I like to call myself a sales confidence coach. And social wellness is, and being able to move around the social realm is super important. when it comes to having confidence and being able to have confidence in yourself and being able to confidently sell. But everything is kind of sales, is the way I look at it, because you're moving through life no matter what you're doing, and you're being persuasive. You're wanting to, you want to feel strong enough, and you can keep that up, or you can and put it down. But thank you so much for sharing that. But you want to feel, and you get to feel strong enough and confident enough in who you are and who you want to be in this world. That has everything to do with your social wellness. And it also has everything to do with how your career is going to go. Because, me being a creative, and I know Dynasti, you're creative. I do want to hear some lyrics. I want to hear some bars and some beats. But but being a creative person, an empathic person, maybe even an emotional person, those are all superpowers in this world today. I know that, it's an unpopular opinion, but one thing that I've learned in my personal journey, career, professional, spiritual, they've all kind of come together, is that we get to be of sound mind, body, spirit, soul, and money. That's 5: sound, mind, body, spirit, soul, and money, with the high five to the vibe. And that's everything about social wellness, because it all starts with it within. There's nothing that we are going to be able to accomplish in this world that's more important than honoring our own life experience and honoring our own self. And that is going to dictate understanding who we are as individuals, understanding who we are, who we want to be in this world, really will inform us as to where we belong. And they say, get in where you fit in. I always love that one. And it's true. We get to get in where we fit in. But how can we avoid imposter syndrome? How can we avoid, I call imposter syndrome, I believe it's like, this new generation loves to reframe phrases. You know what I mean? It's really just, to me, imposter syndrome is inferiority complex 2.0. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways. I don't know if you all remember the term. Anybody remember the term inferiority complex? I believe that it's the same vibe. It's just revamped. But here's the beauty, and this is what is such a blessing to finally get. It took me 41 years on this earth to figure it out. 41 long years. But we get to embrace who we are and really get solid and firm in that, so that we can be sure that we are in the right spaces. You don't have to worry about imposter syndrome so much when you have gotten in tune. And I love the beauty of using sound words, because it really does resonate, with how we're supposed to feel. And our feelings are important. So when we feel safe and we feel solid in who we are and in what our mission is, and, spoiler alert, it's not static. These things do develop and change and grow and shift when you're in tune with who you are. You will expand on that, but the key is to be tuned in and solid in who you are, and embrace yourself all along the way. And it really makes your career journey, because that's what I'm talking about in particular, your career journey and success, and all of that is social wellness. Because if you can't communicate from your heart, you're gonna have a tougher time. When you learn how to tap into your truth, and then you start taking steps towards expressing that truth. And then you get to know when you're in the right spaces or not. So there's levels to this, of course. There's level to the shift. There's levels to the shift. You know what I mean? Because the more that you begin to step into positions of leadership, the more that first of all, being a leader, what does that mean? That means there's people, probably other people involved. If you're a leader, that means that you're leading. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with that, and that everybody's not gonna like you. You're not gonna there's gonna be communication breakdowns. There's gonna be misunderstandings. You have to be prepared for that. That is part of, and that's why the healing work is so important, because I'm sure that all of you all on this call ain't no guessing about it. It's 9 a.m. on the East Coast. It's 7 a.m. where I am. It's 8 a.m. Y'all are leaders. We're leaders. We're here. You know what I mean? You showed up for yourself. You showed up to support. You showed up for yourself. You showed up to support Amanda and Carve Your Own Path. You showed up to support us. That already is leadership. You know what I mean? Like, that in of itself is leadership. So what we get to realize is that developing your character and then stepping into it is a process. And the more firm that you are and solid that you are with who you are, then you'll be able to navigate through any challenges that do come up. Now, I talk about this because I'm talking about career, and I believe most of us entrepreneurs that are here, or business owners, I think. Let me see here. I think
a good chunk.
Okay, so so I'm going to be speaking from that angle, just because I understand that that's who I'm talking to. Okay. But guess what? Even if you're in a career, I mean, you're basically an entrepreneur nowadays, because there is no like, here I am, I'll go get my job, I'm gonna be there for 20, 30 years, and then I'm gonna get my pension. I mean, those days are pretty much over. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, I'm speaking from an entrepreneurial standpoint, because being a leader is not just being an elected official. Although that can include that, but as business owners, there's something about you. There's something that you're bringing into this world that is here to be of service to the world. So that in of itself gives you the badge of leadership. I mean, that's how you should be looking at it. That's how you can be thinking of growing your career is, and this has been unpopular. I've lost friends for this. Okay. And you might lose friends for this too. I'm just keeping it 1,000. But when you choose to be a leader, you will lose friends for that. You'll lose friends for that sometimes. When you begin to expand, and this is at all levels, it never stops. And that is something that's been hard for me to handle and to deal with. Exactly. Some people aren't ready to grow with you, and you get to be okay with that. But a true leader, an empathic leader, and a true leader, because you're doing the inner work, and you're doing your own holy shift in all of those areas that Amanda's talking about, and you're focusing on getting better financially and getting stronger emotionally and and socially, and all of these things, then what happens is the true leaders will hold space for those that weren't ready to go when you were ready to go. That's how you resolve. There's another sound word. That's where the resolution comes in. Okay? Because if you're aiming to be on the, I always love to say the highest vibration, the most high, when you're aiming to go to the most high in that way, that the most high vibration, according to all of the emotional scales that I've seen, the frequency scales, is love, self-actualization. So what that means is that when you really are in love with yourself, you actually create space to have love for other people. And that's so important as a leader, because you're not going to always agree with other people. It's not like you're not going to surround yourself. If you surround yourself with yes men, you're probably not going to be able to you know um, realize your highest potential. Okay, and then when it comes to your career path, you have to be able you get to be able to have conversations with people that are more fluent than you, with people that have more influence than you, and you can't waver, because you have gifts that you bring to the table. So this is a conversation that's near and dear to my heart, especially socially, because it took me a very long time to figure that out. That's right. You can't love someone else if you don't love yourself first. And you can't really, this is probably an unpopular opinion, but you really can't serve someone else and really add value to someone else's life if you don't value yourself. These are hard conversations to have, especially if you're not used to, if you're not, if you're still working on your financial wheelhouse. You know what I mean? How do I, who, by the way, I'm trying to read, look at me, I'm nosy. I'm trying to read the comments and talk at the same time. What you say? No. Uh, um, you know, I am someone who lost everything over the past, up to about a couple years ago. I went on a big, deep, dark night of the soul journey, lost my job because I was stretched too thin. I was working in a job that I loved, but it was just very demanding. At the same time, I was making music, because music is a very big part of who I am. Oh, wow, that went fast. All right. Uh, that's great. Music is a very big part of who I am. And so when it comes to social, you want to bring your personal joy into what you're doing. And I think that's the goal, should be the goal and the focus for everyone, even in your career. But you want to harmonize it. There is no such thing as balance, because some days things are going to go stronger in one direction than another, but it's a harmony. You want to be in harmony of sound, mind, body, spirit, soul, and money, with the high five to the vibe. And so, so you want to make sure you bring that out. But anyways, long story short, I lost everything. I know Dom's on the call. She always laughs at me because I always say, been there, did that, lost the t-shirt and my car and everything else, lost it all. However, one thing that no one can take away from you is your joy. And when you have gratitude, and when you're in tune with who you are, and even if you lose everything, sometimes you have to let the tower fall so that you can rebuild, and the old proverbial phoenix rising from the ashes. But you want to make sure that you have a foundation that is sound and solid. And when you have that, and when you start doing things, when you make the decision, you know what, I'm going to create a life and a career that I don't have to escape from. When you start to do that, then you start using less. If you've been an addict like me, because by the way, my whole crumbling story has to do with drugs and alcohol, lost everything, but you come out the other side. And when you realize that you get to focus on your creativity, your joy, and your expression, then it's easy for your future to pull you, because then you get to create it the way that you want to. And it's not going to come without challenges. And you do have to step into leadership if you want to do great things and make a lot of money and serve, because it's going to equal serving a lot of people. And that social wellness is going to always start with you. So with that, that's all I really have to say. I hope that was very helpful. I hope that really resonated with someone today. And I'm excited to hear from the other speakers and grateful. Thank you, Amanda, for having this panel. What a blessing for you. I love what you're doing with Carve Your Own Path. I wish I would have known about you when I was crazy and strung out in Columbus, Ohio. But guess what? I know you now. So I'm excited to share who you are with the people that I do know, as I have all over social media. So thank you so much for everything. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely, Michelle. Thank you so much. I'm sure that you have lots more to say outside of your little time slot I've given you here. So thank you so much for the high energy on a Monday morning. Like, you were the person we needed to start this off and get the energy rolling. So I so appreciate you. Next up, and please share any questions, comments, anything in the chat. If we don't get to it as the presenters are live presenting, we're gonna have time for Q&A at the end. And also just remember, everyone that registered is gonna get those freebie resources and the recordings from the panelists after the event. So look out for those things. All right, we are going to move on to Coach Lee Hopkins, who is someone that I've gotten to know very well in my networking journey, and we've actually collaborated on a few things together already, so super excited to have him here today. Coach Lee Hopkins is a transgender man, a podcast host, and the founder of Patterns of Possibility Coaching Company, where he helps his clients to transform their old patterns into new possibilities. He is an expert in facilitating authentic connection by helping people skip the small talk and speak from the heart. Whether you're looking for a connection for a specific reason, just season, or lifetime, he can help. And today he's going to share with you his secret to being vulnerable without being awkward and oversharing. And I'm super excited about this because this is something that we often talk about with our clients, is like, as adults, how do I make friends? And Coach Lee is the person to go to for those conversations. So without further ado, Coach Lee.
All right. Thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you so much, Michelle, for getting us all hyped up with this. And we're energetic. Now I appreciate that. I feel the love. I feel the energy. I am Coach Lee Hopkins, as Amanda said, and I just have one question for you. How many of you hate small talk? Right? I hate small talk. But how easy is it for you to share with other people? There's a balance. We're not sure about how much to share. We're not sure if they're interested. In fact, there are two main reasons why we don't move past small talk. One, we don't know what to talk about. We're constantly trying to figure out what they want to talk about. Are they going to like what we talk about? Two, if we do talk about something that's interesting to us, that we really like, we're afraid that people might not like it. They might laugh at us. They might be really appalled at what we say. So what do? We stick to the small talk. We keep it surface level. We don't share. And our relationships suffer from that. We don't get to talk about the deep, meaningful things so that people really know us, so that people really want to be connected to us. We hide all that and we just pretend like we're not hurt, pretend that we're not happy about something. And then we wonder why we're not fulfilled. We wonder why people don't come to our aid when we need it. They don't know us. We haven't told them anything that makes them want to gravitate towards us. Skip the small talk. Speak from the heart. I'm going to share my screen. Skip the small talk. Speak from the heart. So no more boring conversations. Get it out of here. We're done. Today, I'm going to show you how to have some more interesting conversations. All right. Conversation equals connection. We just discussed this. The level of what you share with people is going to create a better connection or a worse connection. But what we do in creating connections, what we have learned is these 3 steps. 1, we search for common ground. Like I said, we're trying to figure out what the other person wants. What do they like? What can we agree on? What can be fun for us to talk about? And we settle on the weather. Who cares about how hot it is? You can only talk about that so many times. It's so hot. It's so cold. All right. Okay. I've been here for 20 something years. I've been on the planet for 40. I know what the weather is. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about something more interesting. But we don't. We stick to that, search for common ground, whatever it might be. And then we plant to see the connection. We try really hard to connect on that one thing, whatever the weather is. Oh, the weather's too hot. Yeah, it's too hot for me too. And we try to connect on that. We try to move somewhere deeper. But wow, we usually wait for growth. We wait for something to come out of that. But like I said, there's only so much you can talk about when it comes to the weather, when it comes to small talk, when it comes to little surface things. So instead of doing this, I mean, we need small talk, but let me talk about small talk really quick. Small talk, what is it? I mean, it's important to do those things. We need to be able to have small talk. It's informal, it's polite conversation about unimportant and uncontroversial things. And there's a purpose for it. We need that. We just can't just throw our heavy stuff towards people. We have to check and see if it's safe. So there's a purpose for it. But it's also boring. Small talk is boring. It's uninteresting. It's unexciting. If we want better conversation, we need better. If we want better connections, we need better conversation. Would you agree? Yeah, better conversation. But how do we move past that? How do we move past that small talk? Step one, instead of trying to find common ground, we have to start where we are. And that means being a little bit vulnerable, taking that risk about talking about something that's important to you. Now, I'm not saying, hi, my name is Lee, and I have all the childhood trauma. Here you go. Nice to meet you. That's going to be a little bit too overwhelming for that person. If you can just imagine it, it's like you have this heavy 50-pound weight that you've been carrying and you toss it to a person who wasn't expecting it. Ouch. They're not going to want to talk to you, and it's going to hurt them. And by the way, you also may get hurt by that too, because you have shared something deep and emotional with them and they've just dropped it. Oops. They didn't mean to. They didn't know it was coming. You need to build that rapport. But when I say start where you are, you want to talk about something that is interesting and important to you. Step two, invite them to contribute. Start where you are. I love board games, for example. I love board games, so I talk about board games. And I invite people to contribute to this. Some people are just not interested and we don't discuss, so we don't go any further into it. Some people have laughed at me for that. Ouch, that hurt my feelings. I know I don't want to be connected to you because this is something I really enjoy. Invite them to contribute. I know it takes a certain sense of vulnerability to be able to do that, but you need to be able to do that. And I've got some tips for you on exactly how to get through it. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell you to do something that's hard and then tell you good luck. That's awful. I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that you're empowered with some skills to actually do this. So start where you are. Start where we are. Talk about the thing that's important to us. Invite them to contribute, and then invest in the growth. So this person, if they enjoy board games just as much as I do, then we can have a conversation. If they're interested and curious, then we can have a conversation and we can learn more about each other. And hopefully they'll open up and they'll share with me, right? That's what we're looking for. So how do we do this, right? How do we start having conversations that start where we are, that we can contribute, that we open up and we're vulnerable? I'm going to share this, the GIST storytelling method. GIST storytelling method stands for joyful, important, secure, and truthful. So you want to share stories that have all of these elements. Once again, joyful. You want to share something that is joyful to you because, as Michelle talked about, you want to share something that makes you happy. People connect on this happiness factor. The first thing you share shouldn't be something that you're angry about because it kind of sets the tone. But if you want to connect with joy. Two, it has to be important to you. If this thing is not important to you, it's small talk. And we've already discussed how small talk is just not stimulating. It's not interesting. Talk about something that's important to you. Three, you want to be secure about this. Okay. If you're not secure about this, what's going to end up happening is you're going to feel like you have to change your emotion. Like if you're joyful about it and you're not secure about how joyful you are, you're going to feel like you need to change. If they make a face or if they raise an eyebrow, you're going to feel like, oh, we know. I really like board games, but it doesn't seem like you like it. So I'm going to stop telling my story. Again, they don't really get to know you. If you go hiding somewhere, you have to be honest, authentic, be secure. Truthful. The last piece is truthful. You want to make sure that it's the truth. Don't go making up a story. It defeats the whole purpose of connecting with somebody. You're lying about who you are. You're not demonstrating that you are a trustworthy person if you do that. And again, they don't get to know you. So the gist storytelling method, you want to share something that's joyful to you, important, secure, and truthful. And I'm going to quickly go through the reasons why these things are. But in my handout that you'll get at the end of this, I'll explain all of this stuff to you. So don't worry, you'll get all of it. And I'm also available for any questions. Joyful. All right. You want to make sure that you connect and joy. The reason why you want to do that is first to discover a compatible sense of humor. We connect and joy. We love to play. We're humans. This is natural for us to reach towards the joyfulness. We gravitate towards the things that are fun, and we move away through the things that aren't as fun, right? That's the first reason. The second, more important and impactful reason, if you don't take away anything from this, take away this. When you share your joy with someone, you will discover how they will treat your other feelings. What this means, and there's a lot of scientific specific fact behind this that I can't share with us today, but when you share your joy, like, yes, I love board games because that's all I do, that's all my life, and they laugh at you, that doesn't feel good. Imagine what they're going to do with their deeper, darker emotions that you have. Oh, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job, and they laugh at you. Ooh. Or if you have something that's deeper and more sorrow, you share that with them and they laugh at you. You would know that if they showed you, if you showed the joy and they weren't interested in your joy, if they can't treat your most attractive emotion, this is the one we love. We love to laugh. If they can't treat that with their own joy, if they're not excited about that, then you probably shouldn't share anything else with them. You don't need to move past the small talk with this person. If you don't take anything away from you, and you don't take anything away from this today, the joy is the most important thing to share. Number two, important. Okay, important. Your event has to be important because you check for compatible values. Again, I keep drawing back to the board games because I love them and it's important to me. And I keep saying it because I want to express upon you that it should be the same for you. It is the same for you. If you find something that's important to you, don't shut up about it. Talk about it. Check for compatible values. If they like the same thing, they'd be interested in what I do. They probably have bought board games. They probably spend time on it. And I want that. I want to be around people who are doing that thing. See, it shows how you'll spend your time. So talk about those things. Don't shy away. Secure. You want to make sure that you're secure about this. And I touched on this just a little bit, but it makes it so that you're not looking for approval. Do not look for approval. If you're trying to connect with people and make friends, they are your equal. You are not looking for approval from them. You're not looking for approval or praise, and you're not looking to approve them either. You just want to make sure that you have a compatibility. If you look for approval, you're putting up on a pedestal, and it's going to be hard to have a peer-to-peer connection, right? So you're not looking for the approval. You want to learn if they appreciate the same things as you do. Be secure about it and learn if they appreciate that you're secure about these things. A meaningful, real meaningful friendship is really a healthy connections that considers your needs and wants. So if you're being secure about your needs and wants, when you first meet, you are going to set the tone for your entire friendship. Be secure. Be honest. You want to demonstrate to them that you are trustworthy. If you go and lie about this extravagant event that's happened to you, boo on you. You're just lying. I can't make friends because you're not telling the truth. They're not going to trust you. Why would you lie about something that is so trivial? That would be the other person's feeling. Lying to them about something that's so trivial. It's who you are. They won't be able to trust you. And it's so much work to keep a lie straight anyway. So this is also important. You're checking to see if they can handle the real you. Again, if we go back to the purpose of having small talk, it's just to see if they can know you, if you can share something deeper. But once you get past that small talk and you start talking about the weather, invite them to talk about something that you like and tell the truth about it, because you want to see if they can handle you. They want to see if you can handle your warts and all, because you want to reveal your deeper, darker, more hurtful things to this person. You want to be able to see if it's safe to do so. If they can't handle your moment of joy, then what? They're not worthy. They're not worthy. So you want to make sure to protect yourself with these kind of things, but always tell the truth about your experiences. So that's where you speak from the heart. I know Michelle said this earlier, speak from the heart. Now the two main reasons is that you don't know what to talk about. You're trying to figure out what they want to talk about. After you get past the little weather thing, be intentional about talking about something that's important to you. So now, instead of not knowing what to talk about, what you want to do is be intentional about talking about something that's important to you, something that's important to you. And to do that, you're going to get this making meaningful connections. How am I doing on time?
You're good. You got about 5 more minutes.
Okay, great. Making meaningful connections. So it's going to explain the GIST storytelling method. It's going to tell you a little bit about connection and what connection is supposed to do, how you're supposed to really connect with other people. And also it's going to give you some journal prompts, because a lot of us, we're like, well, what do we talk about? We're so conditioned to think about what the other person wants to talk about and try to figure that out. What common ground do we have, that we don't talk about ourselves? So this is going to contain 50 journal prompts to help you think about what's important to you, these little stories that you can share with other people, that are going to get the reactions that you're hoping. So joyful, interesting, or important. They're important to you. Joyful stories that are important to you, that you're secure about, and that are truthful. When you share those, you're going to find that they are going to respond, and they cannot help but to show their real feelings to you. And you get to decide if you like what you see. If they frown upon you, next. If you don't like it, let it go. Let it go. I know it's hard, but with some practice, you're going to find your tribe. So this is how you make friends. This is how you make authentic connections, by speaking your truth, not in a way that's super burdensome and heavy for both of you, carrying around a 50-pound weight of your emotions, throwing it at them, hoping that they'll catch, because that hurts you and it hurts them too. It's that you gently offer a gift, a little bit of information about who you are on a platter. Hello, here I am. Here I am. So that is the end of my presentation. And if you'd like to connect with me, I'm going to drop my information in the chat. I'm available for one-on-one calls. I have something called a close connection assessment. In fact, I will share my screen once more. Let me do this real quick. Close connection assessment, because we talk about speaking from the heart, but how to find balance in conversation. Who wants to do that, right? Who wants to easily build rapport? You can do that with the GIST storytelling method. Share, but not overshare, definitely. And if you struggle with nonverbal communication, this is also really going to help you out. So the free download that Amanda has for you for joining this event is going to be really awesome. It's also going to help you be more decisive and reliable, because you're going to start telling the truth. You're going to talk about, if you say yes when you mean no, the GIST storytelling method, we're going to fix that up right away. We'll fix that up right away. And so no more boring conversations. Okay, no more boring conversations. Make real, authentic, genuine connections with people. And skip the small talk and speak from the heart. Now that's really the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Coach Leo, sharing in the chat that obviously I've gotten to know you and I share about you and I introduce you virtually to people all the time. That was the first time I actually got to see you live in action, and oh, my heart is so happy. And thank you so much for being here and sharing that. Yes, in the follow-up email with the recording link and the resources that Coach Lee mentioned, you will also have all of their contact information too. So names, emails, all their social medias that they've shared with me as well. So in case you miss it in the chat or anything like that, you will get it in the follow-up email as well. All right. Thank you so much,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Who's having a good time? Do we need one more panelist here? We have Dynasti. We've saved the best for last. No shade to Michelle or Coach, but I'm excited for Dynasty's energy. I'm just kidding. I love you all. Love you all. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Miss Dynasti here, who I am just so grateful to have here. Her and or me and her mother had become good friends years ago. And so you know, Dynasti was older then, so I didn't get to see her grow up as like a child, but to see this growth and just the growth and building into this entrepreneur, this just force to be reckoned with. I'm so grateful to have her here. Dynasti Smith-Malone is a writer with expressed emotions through the arts who has made it part of her mission to help those alike identify and be released from emotional and mental bondage. With the help of music and writing, Dynasti has turned on a light that leaves one of two options for the people in the world around her. That's either to turn on the light that's residing inside of them or to emit a little brighter. Either way, remaining in the dark is never the option. Today, Dynasti is going to be talking on building community and fostering wellness through her music. So Dynasti, please take the mic.
All right. Thank you, Amanda. I just want to say thank you to you, first off, for this opportunity to speak on this panel and to the other speakers. I greatly appreciate you guys sharing your expertise and your well-to-do knowledge, because let me tell you, the last couple of years for me have felt a little awkward and topsy-turvy. So hearing you guys, tell your stories, I'm identifying a lot of the things that I've been going through. And it's like, okay, it's not so isolated. It's quite normal. So I'm going to be speaking on how to build community and foster social wellness. So before I, dive in on those points, I'm just going to answer that question in a statement or two, because my mind has a tendency to leave me sometimes. So you can build community and foster social wellness by gathering two things that music makes for a great meeting ground in understanding, and music is a great segue for building relationships, which the panelists have already spoken on a little bit. And an action step that you can use to do that would be to taking a step back and listening to music, not just for pleasure purposes only, but to actually have a moment with music to sit and actualize. And so it's music provides a foundation for an identity to be built. Who am I? What am I releasing? Who is talking to me, right? Who am I talking back to? With the help of music, identifying unnameable things, we can begin the process of building. I believe that the social wellness itself comes from being able to identify yourself in a song or lyrics and being comfortable enough to say, okay, this is me. This describes me here. And I want to use Logic's Suicide song as an example. If you're not familiar, a couple of years ago, recording artist Logic, he released a song that raised awareness for suicide and suicide prevention. Now, prior to that song, because depression and anxiety, a lot of these things have negative connotations to it, you would not find a lot of people just readily owning up to dealing with these emotions, right? And so once the song came out, the number of calls and reaching out and self-identification in these things had increased drastically. And it was because, one, people felt comfortable enough to say, like, okay, I may not be okay here, or yeah, I'm dealing with this, or simply I'm not comfortable in my own skin, right? But it was the music itself that made it comfortable to have these conversations, which is the irony that I found a little bit in like developing myself as a musician, is that the things that we would readily agree to or identify with in music, not so much in casual conversation outside of therapy, because of the negative connotations and this need to fit in, this need to be perfect for society, right? And it's not that we are looking for perfection, but we often do strive to look like someone else just because the presentation itself is well. And that's so good. Because in that, if you just take a moment to sit with music, have it answer these questions. Okay, what am I identifying with? Then it begins a deeper conversation within yourself, right? You allow for a moment of honesty, okay, outside of the escape, because music, as we know, can be an escape, right? I don't want to deal with anything around me. So let me just turn on this music, right? It can be advice as well as other things. But in that, I don't think we realize or understand that just by us solely escaping to music, we're actually putting the moment and the memories that we're trying to leave behind, we're putting it on a loop. It's on a loop. So as much as you try to get away from it, it's playing on constant repeat. And so another point that I had was music makes for common ground and conversation, but it's up to us on what doors we allow to be opened after that. It could lead to further destruction, or it could lead to a lifetime of growth and learning if we allow it to. So that just kind of goes back to identifying where and with what do you feel safe in a song. Like, let's, okay, because I got to figure out a way to word this the way, okay, so let's say you just have this joy. Thank you. You have this joy that you would like to share, right? You don't know how to share it. Okay, introduce a favorite song that you like. Play it for yourself first before playing it for anyone else. And just really sit with yourself. The music just has a chance to be this confidant, this teacher, a friend. You know, music has a way of being therapy for us in more ways than one. Let's see, because it's just got me. Okay, I feel that music begins to break down these imaginary barriers that we as humans, both individually and collectively, place on each other. We oftentimes overlook the social constructs being built or torn down based on the music we as creatives make, and as the music we choose to listen to as an audience. So here with music, you have the ability to use the power of your perception, right? Perception is everything, well, almost everything. It's not everything, but it's almost everything. And with music, you have a way of shaping and scoping a safe haven around you. Because ultimately, that's a question that is being answered 9 times out of 10, whether we consciously know it or not. Is, am I safe? Is all of my being safe here? And with whom is it safe? And I'm just in love with music. It's such a great tool if we allow it to be. And one of the things, or two of the things that I feel like can hinder us from building a community and fostering social wellness is mental and emotional bondage. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with this unnecessary isolation that is built from the need, from the want to belong, for a sense of belonging. And until we take that moment to be honest and authentic with ourselves, we will never fully 100% feel comfortable being anywhere, not even with ourselves. Yes. So let me see, make sure. Yes. Okay, so just to make it a little personal, that's why I feel as a musician and as a writer, it's so important for me to make music that I can feel. Because as an artist myself, music has always been a place that I felt most vulnerable to be all of me, right? Not just the negative emotions, right? But that's where I felt I could be happy. That's where I felt like, ooh, it's tugging. That's where I feel like I could give joy, you know, and live without the expectations or without criteria of how to be. You know, you don't have to perform. You can just kind of be. And so I'm appreciative and grateful for all of the artists who has taken the time to be honest in their music. And so I feel like it's also my responsibility to pick up that torch and provide that safe haven for other people, and, you know, provide that assurance, that unsaid understanding, right? Because a lot of times I just feel like most of us, we still listen to music for that moment of clarity, that moment of serene peace, where it's like, it's okay not to have all of the words for yourself. You know, it's okay to just want to come and enjoy, be a part of, and not necessarily be the sole attraction, right? But that sense of longing. And a lot of us, we listen to music for that moment and we just don't know how to articulate that. And so I feel like that's why it's so important for me to just give honest experiences in music. Like, hey, you're not alone. Hey, I also deal with that. Hey, this is how I overcame this. This is where I gained my strength. This is where I gained a lot of my knowledge. This is where I gained my sense of self. Um, wow, I was not expecting to get a little emotional right there, but you know, that's all right. Let's see.
We're here for that emotion, just so you know.
This is the safe space.
Yes. And just in that, another point I wanted to make, music is so freeing. It loosens the reins of expectations and social responsibilities. It gives that opportunity to pretend or be childlike again. So music kind of opens up a world of exploration, right? You're free to be. You can sculpt, okay? And that is where you can start to play with your identity a little bit. You know, maybe, you know what I'm saying, you want to dress up your person, okay? Let's put on a wig or something. And those are drastic, but you know, you get to paint a vivid picture of yourself, and you can look at yourself and you can take apart, you can put together, you can build, and then it allows you a moment to put it into practice of just being all that you are created to be, you know? Let's see. Yeah. And I think that's pretty much it for my points, because the other panelists, you guys talked on it a lot about walking on eggshells and, you know, just that feeling of isolation because you're not really knowing how to share much of yourself with everyone around you. Yeah. Yep. I think that's all I got.
Oh man, I was hoping there was going to be a couple rhymes there at the end for us.
Go ahead, Dynasti. If you sing one, I'll sing one.
Okay.
I don't want to put you on the spot if you didn't plan for it. It's totally okay. I'm just being facetious.
Dynasti wants to sing. Dynasti wants to sing.
Okay. I could do the chorus of a song that I actually wrote that kind of goes to this, and it goes, where's the sound of your drum? Oh, you don't have one. Fall in line, I think I got something. Interrupting your flow. Go for what you know, we're all going for broke. Okay, and in that, I'm just pretty much saying, own up to yourself. You know, you have a sound. Your pattern has a sound. Your walk has a sound. All of your essence has a sound. All of your very being was meant to be here, not just for you, but for someone else. And until you learn the patterns of your drum, you know, the little drummer behind you may never know that, hey, it's okay to add a couple of ticks here or to have a space there. They may never know it until someone like you plays, you know, because in you, they're identifying themselves, which I did with the other panelists as well. So I, you know, appreciate it.
Yes, I was just thinking the same thing, Michelle. Patterns. So beautiful.
Don't you love when it all comes together?
It all comes together.
That's why we have to express ourselves. That's why I didn't hold back by saying, "Come on, Dynasti, let's go," because that's me. You know what I mean? I'm a cheerleader. You know what I mean? And so we all get to express ourselves, and when you're in a safe space to do that, then the beauty just flows, you know, beauty's in the ripples and flows and creates something wonderful that you can imagine. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Dynasti. And I love the patterns of, was that part of your speech, or was that already part of your rap, or did you just add that in because of Coach Lee?
Yep. That just kind of came in conversation.
Okay, so that was freestyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. That's lovely. I loved it. I love that. Thank you.
That's the talent there. That's the talent. All right. Thank you so much. This was beautiful. All right. So I always leave a buffer of 30 minutes at the end to have some Q&A and live chat with the panelists while they are here. So anyone is free to either put it in the chat and I'll ask for you, or come off mic and share love or ask any questions of our panelists here. I never thought I'd get bars at 8 a.m. Dom, you never know what to expect here.
Bars and breakfast.
I have a question.
Yeah, Heather.
So when we're talking about I remember, I'm sorry, Coach
Lee.
Lee had said like don't overshare, but I get his term that I tend to overshare. So how do I stop myself from doing that? Or what tips do you have that like I can be like, oh, I think I'm oversharing? Because I also overthink everything.
Yeah, I hear you. Oversharing and overthinking. Part of I'd like to share with you really super quick story to help that helped me understand what I was doing as far as oversharing. Um, I live in Chicago and I am transgender. I'm struggling to make friends. And I had just recently adopted this brand new mindset that I can create my own reality. So I imagine I'm going to go to this place. It was a comedy club. Go to this place. I'm going to talk to somebody and make a friend. That was my mindset. Boom. Go into the comedy place, start talking to this guy, chatting him up. And I want to be mindful about the fact that I want to live my truth. So I want to talk about being trans. I want to share that with them. And so I leaned the conversation towards it. And they had said to me, I've never seen a trans person before. I don't have anything against them, but I don't understand their experience. And I thought, brilliant. I'm going to give them an opportunity to learn from me. I'm going to tell them that I'm trans. And I did. And they stopped talking. Like their face just glossed over. They stopped talking and they just left. They walked away, left the entire venue. I overshared. I overshared. I wasn't paying attention to what their needs were. And I shared something that was really, really deep with me. But to help you understand what is oversharing, if you focus on the joy of the experience, because usually people will gravitate to the joyful thing that you share. And if it's small, so we look at the importance of it. So transgender is my entire identity. Right. And I know that some people is a huge part of my identity. I know some people are uncomfortable with that. So I have to be careful. It can be a 50-pound weight throwing it around in certain places. But what is like really something that's important for you and your habits or your hobbies or your history that you do that is fun, that you like. If you start thinking about those kind of things, and by the way, those journal prompts that you'll get at the end of this is going to help you discover what those things are. But generally focusing on something that's joyful to you and something that is not super duper important. Like it's important enough to want to share with somebody to make it better than small talk, make it your own unique experience. But if it is something that is just really heavy and it's a part of your identity, just use caution. Just don't share right then. Share later. I hope that helps.
That was very helpful. Thank you so much. Yeah, I don't know. A thing that brings me joy would be like mental health, and then I get to talking about mental health and people. So not everybody wants to talk about mental health.
That's right. If it's, I know people don't want to talk about it, and depending on what you're talking about, like, oh, you had a breakdown and you had a life-changing experience with mental health. Okay, that might be a little too intense for people. But if you're talking about how you're working on it and you're going to therapy every week, great. If they're moving away from you, then they're not your people because they're not working on their mental health. Bye. I'm sorry. That's what I used to do. I used to go to therapy once a week and I would talk about it and I'm like, "Oh, you're not interested in how I'm pouring into myself? Please get all the way away from me." Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I'm grateful that I have a strong group of women that I'm connected to that also share that mental health piece. So
It's just those little pieces of sharing more of you. So thanks for the question.
Can I say something to Coach too? Because thank you for sharing that story, and that had to be mad uncomfortable. What happened to you, like with that person?
I
But I
cried.
could, yeah, but
Yeah.
I could understand. I could understand why. Okay, I'm grateful for the fact that you told the whole story of it because you went to that venue like with the intention I'm going to be myself and I'm going to share this. So the fact I think this is important to this conversation. I could understand why you thought that that was part of your manifestation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you thought like,
Hmm.
hey, I'm going to be able to be myself, and I'm going to tell, I'm going to make a friend, and I'm creating my own reality. And then you go talk to this person, and they just so happen to say, oh shoot, I didn't know. Sorry. And they just so happen to say like, oh, I've never been a trans person. You're like, oh great, this is my chance. So I think that's important. So I'm glad you said all that, because it is and was
Mm.
important to your growth, even though it didn't,
It
the
was.
the outcome didn't, it didn't appear that way.
Right.
But so that's that whole like everything's happening for you, not to you. That's the
Hmm.
abundant universe understanding that there are lessons, there's something to learn and a way to grow from everything. And so you took that experience and you didn't let it shut you off. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was quite the slap in the face. You see what I'm saying though, coach?
Yeah, so if I could share, years later, I learned the importance of that experience. One, I was not paying attention to what they were saying. As I reflect on this experience, because I was so happy to meet somebody, I'm having this conversation. I thought it was part of my manifestation. I'm like thinking about me and imagining how awesome our connection is going to be. I forgot that they had said that they are from a religious part. Their family was this, and it was just, it never met one before. And he was talking to a person he thought he knew was a cis man. And here I am. I rock this entire universe. I'm everything that you thought you knew about trans people. I am here.
Right.
I
That was
overshare.
good though. Probably what you
Y-
did for him was good too. You may never
Yeah.
see, you're never gonna see the fruit,
But
how
it's
that
just that
played out.
I wasn't paying attention
Yeah.
to their needs. And if I'm connecting with somebody, I also need to pay attention to what they're feeling too. And so if I'd been paying attention to little things throughout, it just makes me better at connecting. And I shared something that was hugely heavy to them, and they didn't expect that. And I got hurt. And I thought that they were ready for that, but that was my learning experience, to learn what that looks like. And I definitely, to your point, Michelle, provided an experience for them to be like, whoa, I had a huge emotional reaction. I've seen something that's completely different, flip the worldview, whatever they've learned from that experience. But I also like to tell people that I've learned about rejection. This person just took care of themselves. No, they weren't trying to hurt me. They didn't say anything rude to me. They just stopped and they left. They took care of themselves. I respect that. I respect that.
That's powerful.
And it gives me the last thing that I know about that experience is that it gives me the permission to do the same. Because when they left me, I didn't die. I learned and I grew. And if you have to do that for somebody else, if you have to let them go, they will learn. They won't die. They will learn. So
I love that. That's kind of like the holding space thing too. That's holding space for people to grow when they're ready.
that's right on. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that and giving more feedback with that specific question. I think just to reiterate, as far as like, because we overshare and we can like share, over emotional and trauma things because we finally find safety, which is so natural and biological, right? Like I shared it in the chat earlier of how valid that is, because we want to connect and we want to feel a part of something, and we want to just biologically not be rejected by the bigger group, because survival is important, but we don't always have that context in the moment when we're like, oh my gosh, let me tell you all my trauma. So like also make sure that you have a place for that in your life, because if you have a therapist that you see, you have once you build a relationship, you have a safe space to release all of those things that are burdening you. So when you get into these social relationships, you can just talk about your passions and your excitements and your hobbies and all of those things, because you've given yourself the outlet of the safe space to release all of those heavy emotions. I know Lori has her hand raised, so I'm going to go and check in and see what she wants to ask about.
Kind of along the same lines, but from a different perspective. So as an example, like yesterday was Mother's Day, we went to, family events and to celebrate mom. And there are a couple of people who have very strong opinions that are widely different from mine, with regard to not wanting to allow people to be as diverse, very judgmental about certain topics. And being an empath myself, it drains me. And so, but it's family. I don't want to just get up and walk away. So Coach Lee, Michelle, and Amanda, how do you stop the madness? And you can't, right? So, just how do you kind of, find your compassion? Because sometimes at that point, I mean, I think I'm a compassionate person, but sometimes I just want to get up and smack them. So, it's just like, come on, people, where is your heart? So any thoughts?
Yeah, I'd love to share a little bit on that. Thank you for that question. This is something that it's a process. First of all, the grace for yourself, because yes, you are human and you do care, especially as an empathic person. I talk a lot, by the way, and I did put my my TikTok, if you search the term hashtag high five to the vibe on TikTok, I do a lot of content on being an empath and how to move through the world as an empath, especially if you're wanting to step into leadership. It does start with your family, which is crazy, because your family, they the ones that don't care. They don't care who you are, how big accomplished you are. They gonna keep it 1,000 with you most of the time. Most of the time, your family's gonna be the realest. They're gonna be the realest people that you ever meet. But when that's why, and just like Amanda, is talking about in this whole Carve Your Own Path, that's why you regulating your own emotional well-being, like your own emotional regulation, is just super important. I love what Erica's talking about as far as triggers, because when you know that you're going into these environments, as hard as it can be, finding a way to be the example of love and compassion for others. And it's okay to get up and walk away sometimes if someone's being unreasonable. And if it is bothering, just like Coach Lee just talked about with the person that chose themselves, it's okay for you to do that too. And to even say, I respectfully, look, this conversation is going places that it's just, I'm not in alignment with this, so I'm going to walk away. But it's a process and a continued thing, especially when it's your family, because you can't just cancel your family. You can't just necessarily cancel your family, but what I have found in my experience, I know it's not the same for everyone, but what I have found is that, like a lot of especially with empathic people, when you're an empath, people could sometimes feed off of your reaction, especially if they're narcissistic. Now, if your family members, I don't know if they're narcissists, then that's a whole nother conversation, because there's never anything you're ever going to be able to do to change that. You know what I mean? Narcissistic. So if their mentality is so ingrained in them and they're narcissists, then a lot of times they may be saying stuff just to trigger you, because they feed off of that. That's a whole nother conversation I could talk about that for hours. So there's levels to it all. There's really no one stop shop. If there's alcohol or drugs involved, if they're drunk, then you definitely, as an empathic person, because empathy, I think there's empathy means that one of the definitions or perspectives of empathy is that you can understand where people are coming from. So understand, if they're a narcissist, that means you get to understand they're narcissist and not let it affect you. If they are drunk or under the influence, then use your empathy to let you understand that they're drunk. So you can't do anything to make them have logic. You know what I mean? Like, they're under the influence. So use your empathy to empower yourself is what I'm trying to say. Hopefully that's helpful, and to give yourself your space And to stand on your 10 and say, hey, I know how I feel about this. I know what I understand to be true about this. And I understand that they may just never get it. And that's okay. That has to be okay.
Yeah. I know Coach Lee wanted to say something as well here.
I was just gonna say something similar. I was gonna just back her up and say, yeah, of course, there's an understanding that the bigger person, we hate that. Okay, the bigger person, but the bigger person just means that your awareness is higher. That's how I look at it in the spiritual, empathetic terms, where you recognize that you are having feelings about something, about what they're saying to you. And it's you have your consciousness to be able to turn it off and focus on what's going on with this person. And like Michelle is saying, like, well, they're drunk or they just have really strong feelings. They don't know where it's coming from. They're repeating something that they've heard before, and they're sticking to these worldviews because they're really trying hard to fit into this mold of people who don't like these other people. It's like, well, this is where, like Michelle is saying, you get to provide an experience with them. This is how I think about it. You get to provide an experience of understanding their point of view, because I think about it as we all want to be understood, heard, and appreciated, and not told that we're wrong. You may not believe in their worldviews. People come to me and they say, I don't like you because you're trans. Of course, I'll say, of course you don't, because everything you've heard about trans people, tell me more. And they're like, oh, you're letting me be myself and saying bad things about you? You're all right, Lee. I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me, because we just want to be ourselves and talk garbage because we don't know that we're mad about something. But if you are the powerful one, Lori, and provide that space with your greater awareness, you just comfort them and they're like, there. I see that you're mad. It's okay. And they'll melt. It's so interesting. It's hard to do with family though, because you have that more intensely emotional stuff going on and you just want to tell them, fix your fix your stuff. But so everything that Michelle said, I just wanted to reiterate. So that's it.
Oh, good. Yeah. And then I know Erica wants to say something, but real quick, I wanted to go check in with Dynasti and see if there was any ideas you had on this subject or ways that you've been able to manage this. I know also, just real quick, that sometimes like, Michelle mentioned, like, if someone's under the influence, well, we kind of forget, and I get nerdy about this and talk about this often, is that when we're in a stress response, so like going back, this is why I wanted to check in with Dynasti of those like loops, right? Because oftentimes we have some kind of trauma or wound or just day-to-day stress that keeps us in our back of our brain, that's survival mode, and we're not thinking clearly, right? And older generations were often dismissive of those emotions and distract easily, right? And so I think of Dynasti saying, music can be a vice or a benefit, a healer, right? Because you can use it to distract and stay on that loop of what your story is that you believe. Yeah.
So it's just about taking that quick moment, it's a moment, whether we recognize it or not. And sometimes we often do, because a lot of times that moment will reflect itself in a question like, okay, what is this? This quiet isn't feeling real well, right? That's you in the moment realizing, seeing something that has the potential to be different or has the potential to be the same. And it's all about your response at that moment, because in that quick second, because you don't need a lot of time to respond, right? We're often reactive, but in this moment, you have time to assess, does this really need words, or will my inaction be enough? Will my quietness be enough? I think that's what I have for that.
Oh,
That was a powerful Dynasti. I love how you said that. And that question, I love what you just said, because it's the choice. And that weaves right into what Coach Lee what you just said too, is that, it's the choice that we make, and we get to choose to react, or we get to choose. I just love everything that you just said. It's that moment of choice. I love that. That was great.
I'm gonna go
And
to Erica. Oh, I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Go ahead,
I was
Lori.
just gonna say, and I think part of my struggle is that I want to educate them, but then I know it's not the right time or place, and it's not going to do any good. So, yes, thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
So I was actually just going to say, which is an opportunity to educate with them without knowing it. Erica, I got you. I see you in 1 second. Is that you can be the example by doing the and taking that moment to respond. That's an example, and that's education in itself. So don't minimize that ability. All right, Erica, I know you had something you wanted to say here.
So greetings, all. Dynasti is my adult baby, and I don't know how much of her backstory she told y'all, and I don't want to, put all her stuff on blast because this is about her talking with y'all today. But just to say, Lori, that one of those things, Dynasti being, I had her when I was 15. Giving birth to somebody of the significance that she carries also taught me that sometimes I had to protect her and had to learn to pivot, especially when it came to family. For very large, extended amounts of time, I would show up, show my face, make sure, Mother's Day, the kids would give a gift or whatever it was. And then I'm packing everybody back in the car and we're leaving because I could not expose my children to such ideologies and these generational patterns that we know are so ingrained in some of our DNA that it's going to take the sheer act of the creator in order for them to be removed. But it's one of those things where, and then also in allowing Dynasti to teach me some stuff, there were a whole lot of places and people that at some points in her life where she would tell me like she didn't even want to get out the car. There were some people's houses, like as soon as we pulled up in the driveway, she was like, yeah, no, I'm not getting out the car. Like, what do you mean you're not getting out the car? Like, what do you like? You can't just say that to me and be 15 and tell me we not going in here. You need to tell me why. But it was one of those things through my own growth, and allowing my daughter and different people and situations to teach me that I had to protect my space as well. I'm a big empath. And when I say, Lord, I carry the weight of the world on my shoulders, and it got to a place where it was so heavy that I had to start choosing myself because it was counterproductive to me being a good mother and doing and being all the things that I was called to do and be as well. So it's like, I'm learning now at 42 years old that life can be a far greater teacher. And I'm an educator as well. You know what I mean? I'm one of those. I used to take every moment that I had as a teachable moment, an opportunity to teach or educate, uplift, and love on people. And some people are just hell-bent on running into that brick wall. And I've learned now I'm moving out the way. And I pray they got their seatbelt and their airbags are ready because I'm letting them hit the walls. I know that was a long, drawn out response, but like I said, at 42, and I can say that my two adults are definitely some of the people that helped me teach. Some people, they have to learn the hard way. Some are moldable, bendable. Some, they learn very easy. But the rest of them, I'm telling you, I'm getting out the way. And like I said, I hope they got their seatbelt on.
Thank you, Erica, for that personal sharing. It is definitely a challenge when it comes to family, but energy is everything. We're not going to deny that. So you feel a type of way, you listen to that. Your body, you believe your body, right? Your body is always communicating to you. Any other questions or comments or feedback from the audience? We got about 10 minutes left.
I have something to say.
Yeah.
I wanna let you know, in case no one's ever told you, that family doesn't have to be blood. Like on this phone call, I have 3 individuals that I would consider my family, and none of them are related to me, but they are each important in their own way. So I say that to say, if your blood family isn't fulfilling your needs, it's okay to step away. It's okay to set those boundaries and say, look, you're not healthy for me, and I'm not gonna come around. That's okay. So I just wanted to put that out there because I've learned that I've had to do that with some of my family. Like I said, Erica is like a mother to me. Dynasty's like a sister. And Amanda is also like a sister to me. And none of them are biologically related. But I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, and I think I was gonna share it and I didn't end up doing it in the chat. I think like the whole cancel culture thing is such a like individualistic societal approach. And if we try to come from a more communal, community loving approach, there's definitely gonna be times where like you've tried and you tried and you tried and the family member is just stuck in their ways and they're not willing to budge. But I think like just Coach Lee's example of not meeting that friction with more friction, but meeting that friction, which we can see as an underlying way of someone trying to protect themselves, even though it's not coming out in the healthiest of ways. If we can come alongside you and say, I see you, this is uncomfortable for you. How can I support you in moving through this? What information do you need? What space do you need? Right? If we can do that more lovingly, yeah, you can cut people off if you think that's totally appropriate and good for your health and safety. But I think we also get really comfortable just being like, no, 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 and closing off really great opportunities to grow together. So that was just my little closing there. And then Dynasti, with your music, because we touch on this, and I'm sure Jenna has as well as an art therapist with me. We have a lot of opportunities to give our clients coping skills and get creative, and Jenna's able to offer that like with her creative art therapy and art expression. And I've had many clients that really love music, like they'll bring me songs or they'll bring me playlists that they've made for certain moods, or hey, I didn't realize, when I was working on substance use, people would realize, oh, like that's a song that activates me and makes me like think about using again, so I don't think I can listen to that anymore in my recovery. And I just wanted to ask if you could kind of touch base on like mood or healing or like using music as that coping tool a little more. I know you kind of touched on it, but is there anything else you can say there? I'll just leave it at that. Is there anything else you can say there related to like emotions and coping with different types of music?
Yeah. So I don't know why we do this as people, but this is so fun. It's not funny, but it is funny. I've come to find that a lot of times when we're having or dealing with an emotion, right? Us experiencing that emotion can never be enough on its own, right? If I'm feeling sad, right, me being sad is just not enough. I got to turn on the music, that kind of makes me even a little more sad, right? But so in that, if that is all you see, if that is all you want to be, if that is where you just want to exist, then fine, okay, just stay there, right? But once you have that moment of identification and you recognize what it is, use that opportunity to speak to someone. Or maybe if you can't speak to someone, if you're not even ready to express these things verbally, write it down, or dance it out. But I just feel like the music is talking to you, you're talking back to it. And just really have that moment. There is no judgment, there's no criteria. It's just a free world. They're a free world of existence where you can be all of yourself. That's just really what I have. And okay. But just to touch on the uncomfortableness, the ability, that little awkward moment we have, right, where we don't necessarily feel comfortable because we don't know what this moment is providing us. I challenge us all not to shy away from that. Because a lot of times your growth comes in these uncomfortable situations, these uncomfortable circumstances, right? And it's not that it's unsafe. It's not that it's necessarily bad for your health, right? It's just different. And so it's making you feel a little uncomfortable because this is something you're not used to. It's new, it's fresh, right? And so a lot of times we revert back to negatively reacting to these situations. Oh, this is different. I don't like it. It's no good for me. Well, no, you don't know. You haven't given it the full opportunity to grow and all of it's going to be. But because it's different, I don't want it. When in reality, it's the things that you're comfortable with. It's the things that we're familiar with that's keeping us bound, that's keeping us stuck. So that's what I got.
Cool. Yeah, and this is just another opportunity for me to like just normalize for folks, like if you've ever gotten a new job, that wasn't in any field that you've done before, even after you got your certifications or your degrees, right? That new job was scary. If you got a promotion that you were hoping for, that's scary. If you, get married to the person that you love and and that's a good choice, and you decide you want to do that, that can still be uncomfortable, I should say, not scary. There's discomfort in that, like Dynasti said, because it's new and our brains and bodies are always trying to protect us. So again, they don't give us that information in the real world in real time to be like, hey, are we gonna die? We should probably not do this new thing because it's really scary and it requires a lot of brain power that I haven't used before, right? And what we don't realize is that discomfort, if we just and allow ourselves to sit in it for a few minutes and move through it, is such a short blip of time, rather than when we attach meaning and emotion to it. Of, oh yeah, I probably can't do this, and this was a bad idea, and I'm never going to be able to make it, and blah, no one's going to like me, and all those things that go through your mind. So yes, thank you, Dynasti, for speaking on that again, that there's beauty on the other side of discomfort if you just allow yourself to be patient and work through it. All right, we got about 4 minutes left. I'm going to ask each panelist in like a minute, one final wrap up / plug yourself / share anything exciting you have going on. And I will start with Michelle, since you went first.
Okay, awesome. Follow me on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on Instagram. You can search me, hashtag high five to the vibe. And I'll put that in the chat. I loved this conversation. It's so important. Speaking into entrepreneurship, definitely learning how to be comfortable communicating with yourself so you can communicate effectively with others is going to empower you to be able to lead and create those connections, conversations, contracts, closes, and clients that you're looking for, cash for your business. So thank you all for giving me the time to join this panel. Thanks, Amanda, so much. And it's been great hearing from Coach Lee and Dynasti.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Coach Lee, what you got for us?
All right, thank you so much. I wanted to share my screen. Let me see if I can do it real quick. Boom. I have a 2-day event coming up in August called the Annual Social Connections Summit. I'd like to invite you all. If you like this, there are going to be a lot of speakers talking about social connections, one-to-one coaching, all kinds of really awesome stuff. So I'd like to invite you to this event. I'll drop some free tickets or complimentary tickets in the chat so you can get a hold of them, but it is complimentary to you just because you have come to this one event. So thank Amanda for this. Thank you for your time. And also, if you want to have a free consultation with me, just to talk about your close connections, I would drop that in the chat too. I would just want to iterate that I'm not trying to sell you something. I really just want to make sure that you feel that connection and joy that we talked about today.
And Coach Lee is a master connector. I will say that. Definitely have a one-on-one with Coach Lee, just because. and then you will forever be getting emails connecting you to all sorts of wonderful people. Dynasti, close us out here.
Okay, you can find us. You find me on all social medias at Left to Be Right. Left, the word left, the number 2 and the letter B, to be right on all social media platforms. But just to wrap it up, about social wellness and all that, it's already hard enough to fill your own shoes, right? Because we're forever growing. We're always constantly changing, right? So it's already hard enough to fill your own shoes and to be your own person and to feel confident in that. Don't walk around trying to be like everybody else. There's enough of everyone else. There's enough of everyone else. We need more of you. We need more of your light, your love, your abundance, your joy, your peace, everything that is you, that you have to share for the world. We need it. And just remember that in a world full of music, no one is ever truly alone. So find that song, find that one artist that you can connect to, then connect with a bunch of other fans, start on common ground with casual conversation. But just know that the light that you have, that you carry, we need it. We need it.
Oh, such a beautiful message. Thank you so much, Dynasti. And that reminds me, I was at a conference speaking last week, and one of the really powerful motivational speakers said, if no one has told you, or at least no one has told you today, you are significant and you matter. Yes. And that made me think of that. So thank you so very much for that. And I'm here to tell everyone today that you're significant and you matter. So thank you. Thank you so much. This was so high vibe, as Michelle would say. I appreciate you all. Like I said, we will be sharing a follow-up email that'll have the recording. It'll have all the resources from the panelists and all of their contact information, so you can follow them and jam out to music and watch their TikToks and all of the wonderful things. I'll also follow up with Coach Lee's information about the complimentary tickets in case you missed it in the chat. Thank you for being here. For local folks, we are taking these virtual events live in June. So because we do what we do, our mental and emotional wellness panel is going to be live in person just up the road from us in Copley at Stewart's Caring Place. They do a lot of really wonderful things for cancer care. So we're glad to be collaborating with them. That'll be June 12th. So mark your calendars. And we have decided to make all the upcoming panels free so that they're more accessible to the community. So stay on the lookout for those. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And I appreciate you all. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.